January 15th, 1895, Cleveland, Ohio. The icy wind howling off Lake Erie had dropped the temperature well below zero. Inside the towering, cold stone walls of 4308 Franklin Boulevard, a man sat in total darkness. His name was Hannes Tiedemann, a wealthy German immigrant, a respected banker, and a father, whose entire bloodline was rotting beneath his feet. In the span of just 4 years, 4 of his children had died inside that house, one by one. Sudden fevers, convulsions, mysterious asphyxiation. The air inside Franklin Castle didn't just feel cold, but the nightmare didn't end with the deaths of his children. Decades later, when construction workers smashed through the hidden wall behind the master bedroom closet, they didn't find old pipes or forgotten wiring. They found a small, rusted iron box buried deep inside the masonry. And inside that box were the skeletal remains of 4 human infants. Welcome back to The Dark Narrative. Tonight, we step inside the most evil address in the American Midwest, a place where the walls don't just hold secrets, they hold bodies. Put on your headphones, lock your doors, and let's descend into the nightmare of Franklin Castle. To understand the horror of Franklin Castle, you have to understand the man who built it. Hannes Tiedemann arrived in America with a relentless ambition and a cold, calculating mind. By 1881, he had built a massive fortune in wholesale grocer and banking industries. He wanted a home that reflected his power, a stone fortress that could withstand anything. He hired top architects to construct a 21-room Gothic Revival mansion. Massive limestone blocks, soaring chimneys, stained glass windows depicting dark, ornate motifs, and hidden passageways winding through the walls like veins. But power cannot bargain with death. In January of 1891, the curse claimed its first victim. Tiedemann's 15-year-old daughter, Emma, succumbed to a mysterious illness that doctors couldn't diagnose. She choked on her own fluid while her mother wept at her bedside. Before the ink on Emma's death certificate was even dry, another child vanished into the dark. Within 3 years, 3 more Tiedemann infants died inside the house. Think about that for a moment. 4 children. 4 small coffins carried down the same grand oak staircase in less than 48 months. The local community began to whisper. People avoided walking on the same side of Franklin Boulevard. They said Hannes had built something wrong into the foundation, that the house was Demand's blood, and Hannes was more than willing to pay the price. Grief destroys some men. It turned Hannes Tiedemann into a monster. To drown out the unbearable silence of his dead children, Hannes didn't sell the house. He began expanding it. He added a massive ballroom on the 3rd floor, secret panels behind bookshelves, and hidden tunnels linking the basement to the outer perimeter. But why build secret tunnels in a residential home? Local legends began to surface. Servants claimed they heard soft, muffled crying coming from inside the walls, not from the rooms, but from inside the solid masonry. Then came the strange disappearances. A young servant girl named Rachel, who worked in the kitchen, vanished overnight. Hannes claimed she had packed her bags and left for Indiana, but her personal belongings were still in her room. Her money was left on the dresser. Rumors spread that Rachel had caught Hannes doing something ungodly in the basement. Others claimed she was his mistress, and when she threatened to expose him to his wife, Louise, Hannes strangled her in the hidden passage behind the ballroom. In 1895, Louise Tiedemann died inside the house at the age of 57. Officially, the cause was liver failure. Unofficially, the servants swore she had been poisoned slowly over months, her body rotting from the inside out, while Hannes locked himself in his study, writing in a diary no one was ever allowed to read. By 1908, every single member of the Tiedemann family was dead. Hannes died alone of a stroke in a public park, penniless and hated by the entire city. But the house he left behind was far from empty. Decades passed. Franklin Castle cycled through various owners: bootleggers during Prohibition, Nazi sympathizer groups in the 1930s, and eventually private buyers who thought they could renovate the magnificent Gothic structure. None of them stayed long. In 1975, a couple named Sam and Judy Romano bought the property. They knew the legends, but they were skeptics. They didn't believe in ghosts. They believed in brick and mortar. That belief died on their third night in the house. Judy was in the kitchen when she felt a sudden freezing draft hit the back of her neck. She turned around to see a woman dressed in a black Victorian morning dress standing at the top of the stairs. The woman wasn't floating. She wasn't glowing. She looked solid. She stared down at Judy with hollow, weeping eyes, and then simply walked straight through a solid wall. Terrified, Sam Romano decided to investigate the structure of the house to prove there were logical explanations: drafts, hidden spaces, animals. He hired a local contractor to explore the basement and the thick interior walls. While chipping away at a sealed panel in the rear wall of the basement, the contractor's sledgehammer broke through into a small, unrecorded cavity. The smell that hit them was suffocating: old dust, dried rot, and something distinctly metallic. Inside that hidden wall, lying on the stone slab, was a pile of human bones. Medical examiners were called to the scene. The analysis was chilling. The bones belonged to infants. Small, fragile rib cages. Tiny skulls bearing signs of blunt force trauma. Hannes Tiedemann hadn't just lost his children to disease. He had been hiding the evidence of his atrocities inside the very walls his family lived in. Psychologists call it topophilia, the way a human mind forms a bond with a physical space. But what happens when a space is built on murder, grief, and madness? Today, visitors who stand outside 4308 Franklin Boulevard report a strange, visceral reaction. A sudden sense of nausea, a feeling of heavy pressure on the chest, as if the air around the property refuses to enter your lungs. Parapsychologists have recorded electromagnetic spikes inside the third-floor ballroom that defy all scientific explanation. Audio recordings taken in the silence of 3 a.m. capture the distinct sound of a baby softly crying, followed by a man's harsh voice whispering, "Quiet, or they will hear us." Is Franklin Castle haunted by spirits? Or has the sheer weight of human evil seeped into the stone, creating a temporal loop of agony that will never fade? Hannes Tiedemann thought he could build a castle to protect his legacy. Instead, he built a monument to his own damnation, a house that devoured his children, poisoned his wife, and trapped the souls of those who died within its shadows. If you were given $1 million to spend a single night alone inside the master bedroom of Franklin Castle, with no phone, no lights, and no escape until sunrise, would you do it? Let me know in the comments below. If this story gave you chills, hit that like button, subscribe to The Dark Narrative, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Until next time, double-check the locks on your doors. And remember, some shadows don't leave when you turn on the lights. Good night.